Hey, I'm live. Yay! So today I am talking about planning and procrastinating and how to tell the difference and what to do about it and all of those fun things and also the holidays. Yay! I'm Briar Harvey. This is Ask Briar. So the question that I got was, how do I tell when I am planning versus just playing in my project management software? How do you tell the difference between planning and playing in your project management software? It's a good question because I'm frequently guilty of just playing in my project management software. So, Dusty's here. Hi, Dusty. So, um, what I am looking at for project management software. The question, my asker was using Asana. I typically play in Notion, and I am very guilty of building out these very elaborate structures for myself where I will find all of these data points that I am trying to look for and meet and boxes to check and things to do so that I am at the end completely and totally overwhelmed by what I actually need to get done. So how do we tell when it's planning and make it so that the planning is effective and it works? That's really the big question. So I am a huge fan of Charlie Gilkey, and he has this fantastic project management program. It's a book now. For many, many years, it was just these printable worksheets, like almost a decade now. I've been buying these $12 worksheets and printing them out every year and laying them out. So what we're looking at first are like the big yearly goals, and then we go down to quarterly goals, and then monthly, and then weekly, right? And that's great and all when everything's working and it's not all on fire, like literally on fire, right? This whole year has been an absolute shit show in terms of maintaining the plan and maintaining goals. So what I have gone to instead is looking at very concrete quarters. So if we're breaking things down into 90-day quarters, we're looking at much smaller, usually, more finite goals. And then we're trying to figure out how we make those goals happen. So one of the things that the Momentum Planner does that I have always liked is benchmarks. You can, if the plan is to write a book, and 90 days is probably pretty dramatic for a book, but it could happen. But either way, you'd be able to set yourself some goals that are specifically, in this case, probably content or word related. So if I'm writing a book in 90 days and I want the book to be 75,000 words, then I need to write 25,000 words a month, and that works into about 5,000 words a week. So that at the end of the week, I can see I've written 500 words and I've not gotten there. Those are benchmarks. We can tie them to specific dates. So that's kind of a targeted date-based benchmark with a book. We can also look at dates for less concrete things, like if I am creating a new product line and I have to make, say, 20 pieces of my new product, then what I need to consider is how to break those pieces down. Maybe I need to do the pre-work by a certain date. Maybe I need to have all of the links built by a certain date. Maybe I'm wire wrapping specific pieces, so that gets done separately. Maybe it's easier to not batch tasks and to do one at a time, but typically that's not the case with product type things. Typically they go faster at scale if we're batching the tasks. So we'd want to set target dates for like each specific component. And when we're looking at that, then we're looking at how we track the work long term. So I like Gantt charts, which you can, let's see, I think that maybe Asana does them now if you're paid. I'm pretty sure ClickUp does them if you're paid. You can do them on paper, which is actually still how I do them, with highlighters, because highlighters are pretty and I get to play with stationery because I'm still 12 at heart, right? What we're looking at with Gantt charts then are the length of projects as they stretch out. So if one task is dependent on the completion of another task, then a Gantt chart allows you to work backwards. If it takes me 3 weeks to, let's say we're building software. If it takes me 3 weeks to write the code, then what I have to do to get that done is get X, Y, and Z done. So maybe X and Z can be done independently by different people at the same time. Maybe I can do both of them at the same time as I'm managing all of my projects. And then Y can't be done until X and Z are done. So then we have a timeline where we're able to figure out specific targets and then specific deadlines. Ultimately, when we are looking at our targets, we're trying to figure out ways to plan the work so that we have the goal, we have the end goal in sight, we have steps along the way that we can say, hey, this is appealing to me as a sub-step. This will be where the work is 40% done. And then we have targets along the way so that we know exactly what it looks like to get from A to B. It's really important when we're planning these things out, I think, though, to be realistic. And I am bipolar. I do not have a good sense of time. My children are in assorting degrees of neurodivergence. My daughter is autistic. My son has ADHD. My youngest son is probably autistic. We were in the process of getting him tested when COVID happened, and because this is not our first time at the rodeo, we've kind of just been doing it. But I'm going to get him tested eventually. I'm certain he's on the spectrum, though. And so what we're looking at with all of these brains is that they don't judge time well. I've had lots of practice at figuring out how differently neurodivergent people look at time. And most entrepreneurs are neurodivergent in some way. There's a real likelihood that when you don't see the world in the same way as everyone else, that you're ready to innovate it and change it and make it into something different. And because of these characteristics, which are wonderful and fabulous, and because they are the thing that makes us who we are, what we have to pay really close attention to is being realistic with our timeframes. So if I want to write a book in 90 days, which does feel very big to me at 5,000 words a week, I have to figure out what those targets look like in actual terms of writing time. For me, 1,000 words is probably a 2-hour adventure. I'm not fast. I've never been particularly fast at writing because I edit a lot. So 5,000 words is an all-day adventure for me. But say we're looking at something a little more reasonable and we're saying, I'm going to write 5 sentences a day or 100 words a day, which are perfectly reasonable targets if you want to hack this out over long term. Then you want to block out a specific amount of time for your target, and then you probably want to multiply that. If not by 2, then at least by half. So if you estimate that it's going to take you an hour to write 100 words, then you should probably just calculate out for about an hour and a half. When we build ourselves these buffers, we allow for life to happen, because part of the reason that we procrastinate, part of the reason that planning doesn't work for us long term, is because we can't make it work the way that we want it to. We have big New Year's goals, and then we can't do all 53 things that we said we wanted to do this year, and we have all 53 targets. I'm super guilty of this, y'all. I'm going to build 5 things, and I'm going to put each one in a little pocket, and I'm going to just do pocket A and then pocket B, and then sometimes that works. Sometimes we can manage our time well enough to do those things consistently long term and continue to hit benchmarks and progress. More often than not, we burn out somewhere along the way, and then there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of blame, there's a lot of kicking ourselves in the ass because we didn't do the thing that we committed we're going to do, because instead of just deciding to eat better, we decided to overhaul our entire lives and eat and exercise and also go to bed at 8 p.m. And when all of those things stop working at like day 3, somehow we are personally at fault for all of this and have decided that we just shouldn't exist in society. Maybe that's just me. Probably not. So being realistic then about our targets, about what those benchmarks actually are, and then figuring out how to be flexible about moving them. So if I haven't met a deadline, we have to assess what we're looking at specifically. Do I abandon the goal? Do I reassess future target dates? Do I rework the goal so that I can still meet my projected target dates without these particular pieces that I am going to have to abandon now because I haven't met this specific benchmark? When we build in more time, it makes it easier to reassess these things. But either way, reassessing the goal is, at this point in time, what's going to keep us with some forward momentum. Because abandoning our goals is usually another place where we start really kicking ourselves in the ass and where we struggle hard with being able to make things happen and get things going over the long term. So I wanted to wrap this up then with a fairly concrete example of how we should build out potential targets. And I am using this example because it's going to be very relevant for most of us here sooner rather than later. Today is September 15th. We are approximately 3 months away from Christmas. And we are about 11 weeks out from Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, which means that we should plan backwards from whatever target selling date we're looking at so that we can start getting that stuff planned and created now. So if I'm selling the weekend of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, let's say I have a physical product. So I am selling, I'm selling oils of some kind. And I have created this new line of products. So I am ready to sell this new line on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, leading up into the holidays, which for physical products in particular is going to be, even this year, the lion's share of profit. And we have to plan for that even while the world is literally on fire. So what we're looking at then is figuring out how to get those things sold in November with advertisements. So if I'm selling on Black Friday, I'm going to want to start ramping up my advertising campaign in November. If I am advertising through the month of November, then I need to spend a significant portion of October developing that content. And as it's the middle of September and October is 2 weeks away, then I should probably be planning that content calendar for November and December now. I need to know what marketing channels I'm focusing on. I need to know potentially where I'm buying ads, how much I'm paying for them, who I'm specifically targeting for this new line of oils, because it might be different than my current target market. I might be trying to expand and grow. So I need to know all of those things before I can start developing my content, which I'm going to have to spend most of October doing, because guess what? If I want to get into print publications, I need to do that now. If I want to get into bloggers' gift guides, I need to do that now. Those guides are being written in the month of October so that they can be published in the month of November, so that people have them before they go holiday shopping. I think that this year, while everything has literally been on fire, planning's been a real struggle for people. And I know because I sell planning, and it's kind of been a rough year for me. I don't think that we can get through the holidays without having a better sense of a plan. And I say that because the next few months are going to be rough. We've got the elections coming. We've got winter coming. It's, from what I read, potentially supposed to be one of the coldest winters on record. There's probably going to be a resurgent second wave of coronavirus. We're all going to be stuck inside our houses in the snow in the month of November and December. Our children are going to be there with us. And well, this is my everyday reality, and I've kind of made peace with it. For a lot of you, this is going to be a real struggle, especially if you were trying to, I don't know, write content or record videos or do potentially any of those things that you would rely on if you were just doing your marketing at the last minute. So, this is what I have for you. What we want to look at right now is ways to build out your plan. Start with, very specifically, your marketing channels. What are you using and what can be thrown away? If it's not getting you stuff right now, then throw it away. Come back to it in January. Focus on what's going to move the needle for you. We've already talked about, obviously, what you have to create in terms of products and packages. If there are gaps in what you are selling, then you need to take a look at that and evaluate either how to fill it or potentially how to bundle it and make it into something new. If you have questions about this, you should always, always, always ask your audience. What do they want? What will make them happy? What would they pay more money for? They're happy to tell you. Finally, we take a look at our targets. So if you want to make $5,000 and you need to sell just 5 $1,000 products, and your conversion rate is usually 2%, do you have the numbers in your audience necessary to make that conversion? No? If not, how do you get there? If you need to sell 500 or 5,000 of a $10 product and your conversion rate is 5%, what do those numbers look like? How do you calculate good, better, best kind of targets? I learned those numbers from Megan Hale. Love her forever for that concept. You really want to figure out what your numbers look like and what your targets look like, and then work backwards. So if I know what I'm selling, I know how many I need to sell, I know what my potential conversion rates are, then I go back up top to my marketing and then figure out what I specifically have to do to market these products in November and December. And then I build out that calendar now. And then I build out the work from the remainder of September through October, so that by the time November comes and it's the holidays, you can take some time off and you can just be with your family indoors, stuck inside where everybody is, because that's where we're all going to be. If you build yourself that cushion now, you're more likely to do better. But you're also more likely to really actually be at peace through the remainder of this year and the remainder of your sales cycle. 1 quarter left, y'all. 3 months and 2 weeks. You can make it your best, but I think for this one we got a plan. This one we have to have an actual strategy. This one we have to have the ability to really focus on and figure out how we're getting there. I obviously do this kind of planning, and I do your map for you. I'm leaving I've got time next 2 weeks. I'm blocking out a significant portion of time for maps so that you have the ability to figure out exactly what you are doing for the remainder of the year. If you're interested in a map, please come and talk to me, hit me up in the DMs. We will talk about it. Otherwise, on Friday, I am going to be building a map live. I'm going to run a little contest and see who wants to be my victim. And I will be going through all of the parts of the funnel, including the marketing, including the packaging of products or offers, and then figuring out the percentages so that we know exactly what the targets are for whoever my victim is on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic time. I will have more information about how you can potentially be that victim later today or tomorrow. And that is what I have for y'all today. Thank you so, so much for coming and listening and just being a part of my audience. I love you all forever. And do the likey and the followy and the clicky thingies. Do the thingies. If you're still here, do the thingies. Talk to y'all on Friday. Bye.